Okay.
Okay.
Well, to start, would you like to say your name and where you are?
My name is Evgenij Kolesnikov. Eugene, maybe English version.
Mhm.
I'm at home in Montenegro.
Okay. And the first question is, who are you as a human being? And that can be anything from your values, your passions, qualities about yourself, or that whatever you'd like to share.
Definitely, I'm the man. I'm the husband. I'm the father. I'm Gestalt therapist. There is rather specific word which I don't know how to translate in English, but it's like the identification with my native city. So in Russian it is Одессит. I'm from Odessa, from Ukraine. Like I don't remember how it's in English.
And would you like to say more about any of those parts of your identity?
About I don't, right now um, I'm a little bit confused because what comes to me first of all in the style of my life, in the style how I'm thinking, how I'm working, I'm connecting with my city, which is very special. And this city really has its spirit. And I really know that this spirit of my home is in my heart, in the hearts all of those who identify with the city, and I'm not there. And I'm a little bit freezing, like I am trying to touch my memories about the streets, about the air, about the sea, about like the photo album yes is in album yeah is in my head, and I'm touching the photos. So maybe if try to describe this attitude to life, to business, to like if you unite in one point very serious attitude, but with very high dosage of humor, like you are living your life seriously but not seriously, like there is always a moment to laugh, to laugh, not in the meaning of humiliating something, but to laugh in the meaning, I think that if to think about all the things around us very seriously, you should suicide at the start of this journey. Like it's about the balance, how to live your life seriously and in the same moment not to take it very seriously.
It's very existentialist.
Yeah. Now I'm remembering uh, when some adults in my childhood, maybe these were the parents or someone from the family. When I was afraid to do something and I needed some support, they joked like, "Don't be afraid. The worst thing that could happen, they will kill you."
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Encouraging. It's good to have those supportive adults around you.
And like the paradoxal support, and I think that this paradoxal support, which has very special humor, is in me, is in uh, is in my blood. Maybe that's the line that is in me, in profession, in family, in friendship.
So can I ask how you've taken that with you? Because you're not there right now.
Sorry.
How have you taken that with you? How have you taken that place, that humor with you?
Hmm. 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 That's a good question. Uh, as I'm in immigration right now, uh, I have to be rather stubborn to do the things, for example, in some government uh, offices, for example, for some documents, and there are lots and lots of such processes. And you have to be stubborn and little bit obsessive compulsive man to do it. Besides, I have a very interesting story about OCD in my life that was the point which initiated my path to therapy. But so I like to laugh on myself when I am such a stubborn person, doing all the documents, doing all the legal things. So they are in order, and in my home there is a shelf on which there are copies about copies about copies about copies of documents, and with all those signatures and stamps. And my wife is joking on me on that kind. So it's also about that, like being serious and in the same moment laughing about this. And about OCD, that was the my first acquaintance with psychotherapy, like not direct by through my mother uh, when I was, I think, 6 or 7 years old. I just learned how to write. I make the journal with the list of the books at home by the alphabet, like the register of all the books in my home. And then I think my mom thought something is not okay with this boy.
Oh, you took it very seriously.
Yeah.
Huh, interesting. So I'm curious about other people in your life. Who would you say is a person from any time or part of your life who had a major impact on you in some way?
Mhm. 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 It's hard not to be how it's uh, in English banal, banальный, like I think everyone says such things that parents, of course, influenced
Mhm.
on them. Right at the moment when you asked about them, I have some kind of internal radio in me. Sometimes it plays the songs, and at that Joe Cocker, I'm my father's son.
Okay.
Play.
Oh.
I connected in some way with my father, uh, and several moments starting from. Yes, I'm reminding the episode when he pushed me to learn English. I was maybe in primary school, and I remember this book. It was Jack London, The Piece of Meat, the story, and he pushed me to read this book with such a vocabulary, because there were no electronic one that time, and that was, I hated Jack London. I hated that piece and that vocabulary. But he was right. He was right. The English is the possibility to connect this time being.
Much better than my Russian.
Huh?
Your English is much better than my Russian, so.
Yeah. Do you speak Russian?
No, that's why.
Yeah. So I reminded my father right now, starting off some episodes which in which I was angry on him, for example, like with this book, and it's very strange how we are connected. We keep this connection of generation in our life. I mean, some things like the style of sitting, the style of standing, the style of moving. And, I think now I see it in my son. Uh, for example, how this item in English is called when you use the glass to see something bigger.
A magnifying glass.
Yes, like our habits, our movements, our way of thinking. Someone I see it like under the magnifying glass from our parents. For example, I watch my son and I see him, for instance, singing, and he's singing in some manner, like putting some accent in the melody, and then I'm noticing it as a figure where he learned it, where he took it to, and then I aware that it's my manner, and in me, of course, it's my father's manner. Not only his, but it's interesting how it's, I think that it's I mean therapists in the world, I think, much more talking about separation of generations, like this is this generation, this is that generation, and this is next generation, and we rather less often we are thinking about the generations in the family like something united, like something holistic, like the tree, for example, when the roots, the body of the tree, and the leaves are not separate, they're the same tree. And I think I noticed it in some people, for example, in South America. They are living like the family, like the whole, like something united.
Yeah, the intergenerational connections.
Yeah, like in the word generations, there is something that separates us, like the steps.
Yeah, actually, when you said it, I think it's interesting because I mean, to generate is to create, right? So we are
Yeah,
created by, it's just a continuity.
yeah. Mhm.
Interesting.
Well, so
So,
my so now I'm thinking about my father, and I think that some kind of parents, mm, there are in very different spheres of the life, in profession, in the attitude to different things, to music, to sport. Like there is someone who is your parent there, and there is someone who is a child there.
and so is there anything more specifically that you'd like to say about how your father influenced you or shaped you in some way in your life?
Mhm. I think no. No, I think this is enough in this point.
Okay. So I'm also interested in a little bit of your story. So what would you say is a moment or an experience or a set of circumstances that has really defined you or shaped you in some significant way?
Now very funny picture is in me because
Hmm.
there is a there is a book, very famous Russian book and film about that. On that book, I think that if someone who knows Russian literature and movies, they will recognize the moment. But I will try to explain. It is by Bulgakov's novel. It is about dog's heart. Like there was an experiment at the beginning of the 20th century. Very famous surgeon changed changed the heart, and a dog evaluated to the human. Uh, it is rather famous book and a tragic story in it. But there was an episode when this guy who was the dog was in the circus, and there was some woman, then fortune teller on the circus, and he shouted the question, what is the main event in my life that made me? And the answer was she tried to focus on the future, and she replied, the main event in your life is in the future. I, I think I think that I'm in the process still.
That's
But
interesting. I think we've done 500 interviews and everybody has looked at the past. That's a very interesting answer.
I think that future is forming us.
Hmm.
The future, the perspective, the hope. I think this cannot be without the past, like without the ground. The ground, I mean, not in a gestaltistic term, but when we are jumping, we are basing on the ground. But the intention, the object is always in the future. And my how to say, I'm trying to end some gestalt. I'm trying to be someone in the future. Like as you remember, maybe in your sculpture, it is the same. Like the children are dreaming to become adults. When I will be an adult, when I be an adult,
Yeah. When I grow up, right? It's
when
a
I will,
trap. Don't do
yeah,
it.
when I will, when I will grow up. Yes, and they are triggered by something in the future that is forming them. Several weeks ago, uh, my wife gave me the master class with in the attitude master class how to deal with teachers in the kindergarten with my son. There were some like the teacher in the kindergarten told some boy the shaming text like, "You are not a little boy, why are you doing that?" And she immediately replied, "It is not bad to be a little one." And this her phrase is in me this weeks. I'm thinking about the attitude in the society, social attitude to someone who is little, who is young, who, like this is an attempt to grow, to be bigger, but to be little is not like the it's not bad.
Yeah, no, there's no shame. There's no shame, right?
Yeah, about what formed me. What formed me? Some parts of me were definitely formed by my teachers in the middle school. I had brilliant teachers of history, geography, chemistry, biology, and that what raised in me the interest to the life. I still have. It's not the hobby. It's like the style to spend the evening when at night you are finding some not Discovery Channel but YouTube channel and getting involved into the facts that will never be useful to you. You know them now when you are in this documentaries. Now this time being I'm thinking about my teacher of history. I don't know if she's alive, but she gave something to me, some respect to something that was. And this was even my first dream about profession was to be an archaeologist.
Oh.
Yeah. I remember that period. I had very clear pictures in my mind how it will be. In some way it happened.
Interesting. So when I asked you, who you were, the first thing that you said is, "I'm a man."
Yeah.
So can you say more about how you understand yourself as a man in your masculinity and your gender?
How in English is Heather, the word that the way, the vector in which waves in the sea are going,
The current?
the current, yes, the current. One of my teachers in psychotherapy described man's identity like the skill to swim against the current, to put the effort swimming against the current. And that metaphor was long time in me, and it evaluated in me like, for me, I think being the man is finding the balance between swimming against the current and swimming on the sailboat like catching the wind. I think these two things are about man's identity, because you never know what is better. You will be a little bit sorry, my English vocabulary. This thing on boat, when you are when you have to swim against the current, how it is how it is
The oars for rowing. Mhm.
yes. You never know what is better, this the sailboat or this thing. You need both.
Or the row or the oars, yeah.
Yes, so if to go out of the metaphor, I do not know and cannot predict when will be the point to put the efforts, and when will be the moment to respect my powerlessness. And it is important to remember that powerlessness is not helplessness, because if the wave is very strong, it does not make me helpless. It makes my efforts to swim against this current very stupid and very stubborn. And I think this is the fool's identity, not man's identity, to every time to swim against the current, but to find the proper time for the efforts is.
Okay. And what about your age? How
Age?
old are you right now, if you want to say? But I mean,
Yeah.
how are you experiencing this period of your life? And how do you understand this whole aging process?
I'm 36. I like this number. I think that for some reasons, I think that I will like every number before 48.
After that, it's all what happens.
I think when I imagine myself like on these stairs, I think I have no tension in my body, in my soul, when I imagine 37, 38, 39, but in the age of 48, something like triggers me and makes me to be tensive.
This is your fortune teller. Something will happen in your future.
Yeah. So something like I like this. I like my 36. I think I didn't really like, in some spheres of my life, my age before 30. But I think I was stupid when I didn't like it.
Oh, so what changed? What shifted?
For example, as I came to profession very, very early, I started my Gestalt education when I was 18. It was the adventure from my side and the adventure from the side of my trainers, but they made this step. I was very bad student when I initiated Gestalt training. My behavior was very bad. And when I started the practice and kept my educational process for a very long time, I felt myself not okay with this. And now I think that I was fool and I was stupid thinking this, because I feel that I had too much prejudice about prejudice about that more than people around me. Heather, the microphone.
Sorry, no, you have more prejudice about what? I missed a couple of words there.
About that, I was the youngest in the groups.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, like, and I now the words of my one of my teachers are coming to me. She used to say that will end. Your youth will end.
That's very blunt. Yes. It's true though. Interesting. So how would you say that you experience in your life, and how have you come to understand issues of power and privilege? What do those mean to you?
Power and privilege. In which sense privilege?
However those work for you. I mean, socially, how you understand your relationship, your position in systems, advantages or disadvantages that you have to work with or against.
I think my attitude is ambivalent. Now, some funny example came to me when I'm teaching the topic, the theory of polarities in the groups. I used to ask the auditory who thinks that he's clever, and they are raising their hands. And then my thesis on which I'm grounding is that to think that they are clever, they mostly need stupid people. That is the ground to aware myself, themselves as clever people. Mostly they need stupid people. Oh, those who they aware as stupid, of course. And then other parameters could be, for example, who thinks he's beautiful and so on, so on.
So how does that apply to being powerful or not, or having privilege or not?
I think that in my life, having the power and having some privileges is something that is rather arrogant thing, but I think that it is like the drug. I think that as in addictive perspective, when drugs are starting, relationships are ending. So I think when power is the line in between us, that means that relationship are stopped. So I think it is the balance between the power and relationship. And I remember right now, it doesn't matter, like the details doesn't matter, but me and my close people were crossing the border and I had the documents for privilege crossing the border. They did not have the documents with them. So, and just 2 days before it, I had no these privilege documents. So it was very, I do not know if it describes correctly the atmosphere, but like there is a soap in your mouth, this feeling like something from the first view, it is very okay situation. You have the privilege to have no formalities. Okay, welcome, go there. But 2 days ago, you had no this status, and your close people are on the different side, for example, and so I think it is. I think when there is only power, it is dangerous. And when there is a privilege, it is important not to be drunk with it, with the privileges.
Yeah, it's interesting because I mean, the idea of privilege is that it's circumstance, right? It's not merit. It's not because you are special. It's because you have a piece of paper.
Yes, yes, yes. Like you have a piece of paper when there is written that you are someone.
And can I ask, I mean, this may be very personal, but how has your experience shifted since you made this move, this migration?
My personal experience of what shifted?
Of yourself, of being in the world?
I never aware that weapons and the power in that meaning raises so much disgust in me. And I never aware that any idea which is absolute from every side, the idea which is absolute, the idea that has no ground, raises so much disgust in me. In Russian language, there is the word, maybe there is in English also one, which unites fear and disgust, like it is in the same word.
I don't know what that would be.
No, like when you, for example, this could be when you see, this is the reaction when people, for example, they see the dead body, and this is the reaction of in the same moment. It is the fear and disgust in the same moment, and like it is the movement that it initiates is putting a step aside, like
it's like repulsion. You're
yes,
repelled.
yes, like they like I could never predict that before my migration, that my instinct will work in such a manner, in such a style.
You never expected to feel that.
And I yes, I did not expect it, and it is, what surprised me, because it is very clear sense, because when situation is unusual, I could have long doubts, and here there are no doubts about it. It's like this mix of fear and the disgust and the wish to make step back.
So it's a full felt experience.
Yeah, that was another thing that that changed in me. It is not directly connected with migration, with war, but the war and migration were the trigger. I was lucky. The friend of mine invited me, and I was this summer 2 weeks, a little bit more, I think, I don't remember, on the retreat in South America, in the jungle, and it never could happen if not the war, if not the migration. It could happen in some far future, but not in this period of my life. And this experience changed in me, not changed, but it gave the skill to notice how much I'm talking inside of me when I'm silent, how many words and how I'm talkative when I'm silent. And if I am trying, the skill is if I'm noticing it and I'm trying really to be silent inside of me, that's the clue in some way to differentiate intuition and paranoia.
That's a useful distinction.
Yeah, like if you stop talking inside of you, you could notice if it is outside signal or inside signal. And that's interesting. Besides, it's very interesting fact that in some languages the verbs to listen and to be silent are the same words.
That I did not know.
Yeah, that's like it is the same process, and it is obvious if you think about it. But they even in Hungarian language, for example, they have the same verb. It is in the same moment to listen and to be silent.
Interesting. So is it okay to shift to the Gestalt therapist part of you a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you first learned about therapy and psychology through the OCD process, but how did you meet Gestalt?
I think that my family met psychotherapy like a system. And then I got known in direct contact when I was a teenager. Normally, I spoiled myself when I was teenager, and my parents brought me to therapists. He is spoiled. Please fix him. And
did that work? Are you better now?
Yeah, that worked, but with my parents more. That time, I was very happy because of those visits. As some more pocket money appeared in my teenagers years. Yeah.
And so how did you find Gestalt and get into your training at 18? What happened?
Nothing really. I was already the student of the the first course of medical university, and I was very, very talkative on the pairs on general psychology. I gave no possibility for the lecturer to read the lecture. I always asked something, and she invited me to group therapy because of that, which she led. And I was curious, and I went to some learning program. Firstly, about there is such a modality of psychotherapy, symbol drama. It is the part of Jungian psychology, more analytical one, and then as I knew from my teenager years, early teenager, because 18 I was teenager also, I think. I knew where there is an office of Gestalt therapists in Odessa, and I remember the day when I went through this street and I just saw the building, and I entered it, and the therapist whom I visited when I was teenager was there at that day, and I just came and asked, is there here a training for Gestalt therapists? And she replied, yes. And I said, I want.
That's it. You got in?
Yes, and I came in. And then then I mostly finished my base course on Gestalt therapy, and then there were circumstances because of which I stopped my my educational program. There was a big episode connected with health issues. There was a big car accident, and so the education was not in my focus for several years, and after that I came back. After that I came back, and here I am.
And what did you? Go ahead.
Some part of my at the beginning of the practice, I tried to unite family business and building my private practice and organizing some Gestalt events. But then when practice and my managing project practice raised, I realized that I will go away from family business, and that will be in my heart.
So what did you find in Gestalt that made you walk into that building and ask for that program? And what have you found in it that makes you stay there?
Another song is playing in me right now. There is the rock group Muse, and they have a song thought contagious. Contagious
thought?
Look, the contagious thought, the thought that could be from one man to another. And I have never seen in other modalities such curious people as Gestalt therapists are. The curious to their internal world, and after that to the internal world of the client, of the student. And this is very special kind of curiosity. Like every material, every I have the metaphor of in the educational process in Gestalt, what we are doing is like the geology, when you find some minerals and you cannot do anything from them except what they are. You could just bring the form to this mineral, but you will never you could never put iron to some cobalt mineral. It is another one. You could just make the form, and that's what we are able to do in Gestalt trainings, to notice the form that is in student's soul, and to support him in finding the object, the stone that could be made from this mineral, or a jewelry that could be made made of it.
So it's phenomenological. It's not about changing what is.
Yes, 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 yes. And this is, I have never seen in other modalities. Maybe I was lucky because these were my teachers. When the message that they have given to me, and I'm transferring it also, like every mineral is needed. You should find the place for it. There are more universal, less universal.
Interesting. So what would you say is the essence or the nature of what you do with Gestalt or in your practice?
The accent?
The essence. I mean, what kind of mineral are you? What is?
Yeah.
I mean, some people are very, private practice. Some people are organizational. Some people really work with social issues or teaching. Or what is it that you get passionate about?
I think that there are two identities in me in this field, and they are different. Being a teacher, being a trainer is very another identity than being a therapist.
Would you say anything about either of those
No,
identities?
I'm thinking in the direction of minerals, and nothing comes to me like.
No, I mean, like, what kind of a trainer are you? What is it? What is it that you enjoy, or what is it that you do?
As a trainer, I definitely very vivid, like the Mercury, and sometimes I think there is too much hope in me, too much, but I like it.
So your way of teaching or practicing is too hopeful?
Sometimes, yes. Sometimes, yes, it is difficult for me to. That's what I should remember every time, that sometimes nothing will change.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Yes, nothing will change. I think those words were said uh, by someone of American Gestalt therapies. Maybe it was James Oldham, who said in his book that uh, since something like since 30 years ago, when I started my Gestalt path, my life changed extremely, being absolutely the same in its heart. I think it is rather romantic definition, but sometimes nothing will change and you do not like it.
It sounds very paradoxical theory.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like I like paradoxes.
Mm-hmm.
I like paradoxes in therapy and as trainer and as man. I like them.
Okay. So maybe nothing changed, but how would you say that Gestalt therapy has affected you as a person?
I'm more kind to myself. I think that instead of Gestalt therapy, I could imagine my life making another kind of therapy or even another activity. I think that I could be less kind to myself if I were not Gestalt therapist with the way that I made. I mean, some people that influenced me, the concrete school in Gestalt that I learned at. So,
And so would you say that you feel like you're part of a Gestalt community? Does that mean anything to you?
yes, of course, yes.
What is your
Mm,
experience of that? How's that for you?
That gives me the sense. That gives me the sense because some episodes when I'm organizing the event, and for instance, this I remembering now a big conference in Kiev that we made with my colleagues, and for instance, the people from Georgia and Bulgaria are meeting there, and they are doing something together. And for some reason, it is even more. It is another kind of pleasure when they are doing something not in profession together. They are just friends, for example, or they are connected and they are like uh, this is how this thing in English is called the union of the workers, for example, at the plant or uh,
Yeah, it's
how
a
it is.
union, a union.
The union, the profession, the professional union. So this is like the professional union. For example, I think that lots of Gestalt therapists, at least this is not the projection of my lots of Gestalt therapists, if they are lost in the country and they cannot contact uh, someone from outside, they will Google something like Zimbabwe Gestalt therapist and
Yeah, they'll say, this person will help me. This person will understand me.
yeah, he will understand me. And this is like the in medieval ages there were special names for professional unions, like the, even if it is the person of another kind, if you are in this professional union,
Mhm.
you are connected.
It's like a guild. It's like being a mason.
Yeah, guild. the guilt, yes.
Interesting. And so what would you say that some of the most significant challenges that you faced have been?
I hope they are in past, but maybe in future, I don't know. Significant challenges. Challenges like I had to cope with something, I had to.
I mean, it can be a personal or a professional question, however you'd like to answer it.
Hmm. Don't want to be any too pathetic, and I'm remembering just a funny challenge, a short one. But once upon a time, on my group, it turned that in the same moment it happened. It was not in a big city. 3 women which are connected with one man and with love affairs, they get known about this in the group, just in the process.
Oh, that sounds fun.
And there was they hated each other in some way. There was a strike between them.
And so you had to deal with that?
Yes.
Hmm. Hmm.
It was the occasion, very, very, very big occasion, but sometimes it happens, and like I think that it is fatum, if in Latin. You cannot predict these things, but I think that in challenges there is something if you like them and if you have attitude with the challenges, you have to make them for yourself, because if you do not make them for yourself, if I'm not making them for my self, they will find me without negotiations with me.
Yes, you either cooperate and accept them or...
Yes.
And is there a, I don't know if there doesn't have to be, is there a more, you said to choose a light example, is there a more profound example?
No, of course, of course, I'm thinking about my situation, my family situation, my close people's situation. This time being, how it will end, when it will end, how do I want it end to me. And this situation already is lasting 8 months. Yes, 8 months. And last week, very simple thought, very simple insight came to me in my therapy when I was the client, that my wish is very simple. My wish is this war to end as soon as possible with as less dead people as possible. Like those two parameters are important, because strange, but if it is longer and this longer makes less people to die, that my wish is it to be longer, but less people, more people are alive.
You sacrifice time, but not people.
Yes, but time is also important, and time, the quality of time, the perception of time changes through because of different reasons, and because of the war, because of the speed in which the information nowadays is reaching one point of the world to another. And it is very, how to say, rubber kind of time, like it is,
Mhm. It's
it is
stretchy,
stretchy,
elastic.
straight, it's like elastic.
Hmm.
Mm. Mm. So this is the challenging process, I think.
Mhm.
The challenge, the the tragic, the vivid, the catastrophic in some lives. Mm, it is.
Mhm. And how do you integrate these experiences? Because I mean, every generation, every culture has wars. But
Mhm.
how do you integrate this, which is now part of your experience, which was not before? I mean, how does this shape your practice, your understanding? I mean, you can't just, I'm
I
assuming you can't just
I
take
think
what you learned and move forward as if nothing had happened.
I think that it is very early to start thinking about integration.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I will tell this, and I think we could later discuss if it is worth to be in the interview, to keep this.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is very very important for me was to find at least some close experiences in other people, in other nations.
Mm-hmm.
There was there was a period this spring we stayed in Croatia, uh,
Mm-hmm.
and they had the war 30 years ago, and people of my generation were as my son right now,
Mm-hmm.
and it was long war between two very close nations, Serbs
Mm-hmm.
and Croatians. And I asked them, uh, I asked them questions, very naive, how it ended, how it was after,
Mm-hmm.
uh, how you tried to connect again, how it was in your families when they are mixed,
Mm-hmm.
how it was between your professional communities. Mm, and I hope even then when when it will end, I hope that colleagues from both communities could help us to integrate, to lead us in this path of integration, because they have
Mm-hmm.
uh, this experience. And you know, it was in a small city. It is called Zadar, a very beautiful city in the south of Croatia. There are still 30 years past, and uh, there are still scars on the buildings,
Mm-hmm.
the signs of that they were damaged.
Mm-hmm.
It's very beautiful city, very old. It was founded, I think, 500 years before Christ, and uh, there are very beautiful sunsets there. Besides Hitchcock, when he was there, he said that this is the best. These are the best sunsets in the whole world.
Wow.
There, yeah. And you know, it was very, and it is full of tourists in summer, in spring,
Mm-hmm.
and it was very important for me sense and hope, and very strange in the same moment. Staying there, seeing in the same moment tourists' life and those scars on the building.
Mhm.
So this and another, for example, when I asked local people how it ended, when it ended, uh, I remember very different answers, because one lady, she replied, it will never end. Another colleague of mine said that it changed. You need time, you need a long time. And he, for example, he described some events that were possible again 10, 15 years after. And it was, you know, Heather, it was such a strange kind of heavy relief,
Mhm.
very heavy relief when I heard this number. I think this is just the example. It means something, but it means nothing, because literally it could not be exactly like that, but it is like the experience and uh, the most important, I think, that the kids are born,
Mhm.
the life is going there. How we will integrate it, who knows?
Mhm. That's been my experience with people all over the world. Is
Mhm.
it's not something that happens and goes away. I mean, we are changed deeply by events.
Yes. How could anything stop?
Mhm. Mhm.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Hmm.
And do you think
So,
that's, go ahead.
yeah, please.
No, I was going to ask if you think that is a large part of your work, is understanding or being with those long processes, sort of as that archaeologist, anthropologist, bringing the
Hmm.
past into.
Hmm. Hmm. You remember that part when you asked me about what what I learned in this situation, and I was surprised with that kind of instinct in myself, my attitude. It is very clear and very strong in me. I think for me, it it never was such a challenge to noticing and living through the diversity between me and person near me,
Mhm.
because uh, it is very simple when we are united by our position, and it is very confusing, and it is mm, even could be rather painful in the meaning of valuable, when suddenly we look different on very common things.
Mhm.
So I think that that will be very important line in educational groups, in therapeutic groups, in communities, in therapy, uh, to support the atmosphere in which there is no position that neglects other positions.
Mhm. I've heard people using terms like in a polarized field,
Yeah.
and it's true.
It is okay when our opinions are different. The problems are starting when my opinion is such which excludes any other any other opinion,
Mhm.
and how to find the balance between understanding the reasons why human being is reacting in such a kind, and not neglecting him because he is neglecting others,
Mhm.
because that will be a bad paradox, like very uh, very aggressive neutrality, you know.
Mhm.
Everyone who is not neutral, we will
It leads to an absolute position.
yes, yes, it's another kind of absolute.
Mhm.
I uh, you know, some clue that I have occasionally found, not I think last week, when I met people in the group with very different positions. uh, I was lucky to find a way to support them to tell their stories,
Mhm.
to tell, not to share the positions, but to tell their stories,
Mhm.
which are like all the stories. All the stories have only one need: they need to be heard.
Mhm.
So I supported them in sharing their stories, not the stories of their family, of generations, of migrations, of wars. And I was impressed how, and they were impressed uh, how they are still on the wind, which started 3 generations ago.
Mhm. Mhm. So a lot of work in progress.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Would you say that there's anything else that you would like to add at this point, either about where you are or where you might be going?
What do you mean?
Yeah, to sort of close up our conversation. Is there anything
Ah,
that you feel you haven't said? Any other thoughts you'd like to
I
add?
I was afraid, and not afraid, but I was tensive about our conversation. It to be boring for you, boring for me,
I'm not bored.
and yeah, I like how it happened, and I just want to end to add thank you, because I think you have very special kind of presence and listening.
I appreciate your sharing, and I appreciate you meeting with me in English because it just opens some of those parts of the world that I couldn't access otherwise.
Yes,
And
yes, of course, and
yeah,
thank you for being vocabulary in some moments. And
try.
if we will publish this interview, sorry for some mistakes.
No need to apologize. I really, really appreciate meeting with you and sharing with us and seeing where you go. So
Thank you.
thank you.